Welcome to Voice with Vielka, the podcast dedicated to the ongoing quest for finding how to best teach kids to sing with confidence. I'm your host, Vielka, and I'll share my experiences as a performer, educator, founder, and mother for the last 20 years here in the heart of New York City. Thank you for joining me as I share with you the amazing people, practices, and talking points to help us grow together as singers, educators, entrepreneurs, and human beings. Welcome to today's podcast, where we dive into the world of voice with one of the brightest stars in vocal pedagogy, Sasha Divain. Sasha is a renowned voice professor, president of the Diva in International Voice Association and the International Association of Teachers of Singing, as well as the NATS Eastern Europe and Central Asia chapter president. She's not only shaped voices on the global stage, but also founded the groundbreaking certification program of vocal rehabilitation specialist for voice teachers, training vocalists to overcome even the toughest challenges. With an impressive Master of Music in Music Theater Vocal Pedagogy from Carthage College and a background in CCM Voice and Vocal Pedagogy from Gliere Music Academy, Sasha has worked with celebrities and international competition winners alike. She's organized over 100 Estill courses with some of the top names in the industry and studied voice across the globe, from Ukraine to the USA and everywhere in between. Get ready for an episode filled with inspiration and insights from a true vocal powerhouse. Let's give a warm welcome to Sasha Divain. Welcome, Sasha.
Hey, Vielka. Oh my gosh, it was the best introduction ever. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Of course. I'm so excited to have you here. And I just want to share with our listeners that I met you at the NATS conference this summer in Knoxville and was kind of immediately had a brain crush with you because of your vast knowledge in vocal pedagogy, and was just totally smitten by your story and how you have pursued it so passionately. So why don't you start by sharing with our listeners how you got here? How did you find this way into your finding your voice and then teaching and vocal pedagogy and all that you do?
Thank you so much for your question. It was wonderful to meet you during Net's conference. Yeah, you was one of the brightest participants in my opinion. Yes, and presenter. Your masterclass was amazing. Yes, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah, so I've started singing since 9 years old. Yes, I'm doing this, like almost all my life. I started with pop jazz singing. Then I graduated from music college as a classical singer and a voice teacher. Then I decided that I need to go back to contemporary music. I came back to um, I graduated from also music academy in contemporary commercial music sphere, and I got this major in voice performance and pedagogy in Ukraine. And then I met Estill Voice Model. Oh my gosh, it was a groundbreaking moment in my life. I think I found information about Estill on internet first, maybe like 13 or 15 years ago, and it was so like bright information with like a lot of myths. Which we have in right now, still have in vocal and voice pedagogy. Yes, so Estill has a clear view to all things. If we're talking about anatomy, acoustics, physiology, yeah, great knowledge. And I became an Estill Master Trainer, yeah, in 2019. I got my certification in Europe. I visited many, many countries like Germany, Austria, Spain, and other to get my certification because, like before, it was not possible to do all these things online, unfortunately, only personally. Uh, and then, yeah, I started my way in voice rehabilitation and vocal rehabilitation world. Yeah, I met many great laryngologists as an Estill Master Trainer, and I started organize workshops for them. So in 2019, it was my first workshop for laryngologists about Estill Voice Model and how to apply this model for vocal rehabilitation. Yes, and I started to work with these beautiful doctors in Ukraine, and we started our practice together in National Institute of Laryngology. Yes, and it was great experience before I moved to United States. Yeah, it was wonderful experience.
It's amazing. And there's so much to unpack
But it's
because you have covered so much ground in your journey, in your vocal journey. So, let's talk more about Estill and finding Estill. And I don't know if you remember why you were searching and what you were searching for when you found Estill. And then maybe you can just describe a little bit what Estill Voice is for those who are listening and have never heard of Estill before. Because I know it took me too long to figure out and learn about Estill and to hear about it even. So, how would you describe Estill Voice? Like, what is it? Where did it come from? And
Mhm.
yeah, and what led you to it?
In my opinion, Estill Voice Model is a new way to hear, feel, and see your voice. And why I chose Estill Voice many, many years ago. Because, like when I was studying in music academy, it was so many questions which I asked to my voice teachers about support, about breath, and etc. And I didn't get clear answers.
Well, you're
You
not
know,
alone. I think that's
not
you
alone.
and every singer that
Yes.
I know.
No, yes. And then I started teaching, yeah, and every time when I had lesson, I questioned myself, is it correct or not what I say right now? Or the truth some in something else, in another way. And I think
And
it's
I
the
want to
most
pause you on that thought real quick because I just want to point out that I think that that's a feeling that most teachers and people have of just like, am I doing it right? Is this the way? And especially when what you're saying is that our teachers didn't know, and then we're learning from them. So there's almost along with the journey of learning voice, also being passed on is this unspoken atmosphere of trial and error and not really being sure. And to be fair, voice science is relatively new, so there are a lot of factors at play.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think it's the way of real experts. Like when you every time have these questions inside your head, is it true or not? Sh- do I doing this right or wrong? And that's why I chose Estill because when I had my first Estill course, I got so many answers. Oh my gosh, about resonance, about breathing, and etc. And I realized that I want to be a trainer of Estill voice because only at that level, I can be clear that I'm doing Estill right.
I
Yes.
hear you. And this is coming from someone who has done the introduction. I did level 1, level 2. I've been on a journey where I'm talking about it more, but I haven't gotten the certification. And just so our listeners know, the certification levels for Estill are unlike many other places where I've been certified, like for music education, let's say. in that you really do have to show that you can demonstrate what the concepts are in your own voice as well as on paper. There's symbolic language and gestures that go with the anatomy. So it's a very robust, comprehensive certification program, is what I'm trying to say. And I think it's expected that it takes some people several years to get to the level you're at. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, you can get your first level of certification in Estill in a few months. So it's not so long for first level, but
For the
first
first
level
level.
is like a performance level. So you just need to demonstrate right with your own voice all basic exercises together with beautiful program which calls Voice Print Plus. Yes, and it's amazing. And then second level, it's like teacher, Estill Master Trainer, we call it officially, teaching level. And the third, the last level, is like a mentorship level when you teach other trainers, Estill trainers. Yes. So
Yeah.
there is only three levels. Yes. And actually, currently, Estill right now has accreditation by ASHA. Yeah, so American Speech Language Pathologists Association. So currently we apply this beautiful knowledge not only in voice training, but in voice and vocal rehabilitation and in clinic, which I did in Ukraine, yeah, many years ago.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect segue, is that it's not just for singers, it's really about the instrument itself, for voice in the many ways we use our voice. And I'm so fascinated to hear and eager to hear more about the vocal rehabilitation piece. And I heard you brought a video for us, which is epic. So maybe you want to chat a little bit about what vocal rehab means and then set
Yeah,
us up with a clip.
of course, of course. And you know, like we have the same problem around the world. We have amazing, beautiful voice teachers, and we have great speech language pathologists, but there is no many times specialist in between. You know, like for example, when singer have some problem with voice, you know, like the cause of this for many times it's a bad technique or not, you know, like right physiological habits which should be corrected by a specialist who has knowledge in singing, in rehabilitation. For example, because when you are go to speech language pathologists, many of them do not have singing background and singing experience at all. And in this case, it will be not possible, you know, like to help you uh, empower your singing vocal technique, unfortunately, and to correct your bad attractor states, yeah, your habits. That's why we need vocal rehabilitation specialists. So they have basic voice pedagogy, major, yes, and education. And then they have this long way of certification, which we have in our organization and DIVA and ITS, the certification program, which gives them the deep knowledge of anatomy, physiology, acoustics, which gives them experience and practice and internship together with laryngologists. It's also very important, and which gives them also certification level in Estill voice. So it's like a double, uh, I could say major certification program. So in this case, you know, like you will be a great vocal rehabilitation specialist and a great Estill Master Trainer. Yeah, and it's amazing because we are able to apply this voice as, for example, John Ladair in New York here in Manhattan. She's a great voice teacher and speech language pathologist, and you know, like she taught Sting, Madonna, Hugh Jackman, and many other Patti LuPone, many other world-renowned stars with Estill model. She helped them uh, with voice and vocal health too, because she's Estill Master Trainer and she is a speech language pathologist. Yeah, so she did a great job and she got her Tony. I do not know any other voice
No.
teachers who got Tony.
Right, right. Joan later won a Tony for being a voice teacher. It's unheard
Yes,
of. But that
yes.
is how prominent she is in the field and how many people she's helped really with this knowledge of Estill. And for those who don't know Estill, I just wanted to decode a couple things that you said. So an attractor state is, I interpret that sort of as like your natural, well, your habitual default setting in a way, like however you're used to speaking or singing, and that you're moving your muscles in a certain way, and that you're getting that sound as a result, and that you're just like the way you walk. Like most people
Yeah.
don't think about the way they walk. However, there's an anatomically optimum way that you can walk, which is going to keep you aligned and help you be able to walk further and all of the things. So that same idea applies to voice, and that people are naturally just out of that habit speaking and singing the way they're used to, and that's what in Estill world is attractor state. I'm
Yes.
so curious, when you started working with, so you've been singing since you were little, right? You found the love, you found Estill, you're learning about voice and the parts, you're getting the answers that you have been searching for, and that clarity of like, oh, this is the muscle that corresponds to this sound, and you can move it in these different ways, and that's going to change the sound in these different ways, and I can see it on the spectrogram and voice prints and all of these wonderful, amazing tools that Estill's decoding for you. I'm so curious then, as you started to pair with laryngologists and be in that sort of medical world, what did you learn like that kept you passionate, or maybe even made you more passionate about sort of this in between area that you're talking about?
hmm it's a great question. Thank you so much. And I think when you do something for many, many years, recently you can burn out. And I had this experience in my life, like when I started teaching, like I was 15 years old because I was already a student at the music college in Ukraine. We have a different educational system there. And then, like after probably 5 or 6 years, I understood that teaching is nice, but I want to try something else if I want to be still in this profession. And we created this beautiful organization, yeah, Voice Association, DIVA, and IETS. And then after some, I think 5 or 6 years, I understood that to be a manager of organization, it's a nice experience, a voice organization, but I want to try something else. And then I started my pathway as a rehabilitation specialist. So it was the reason, like for me, I think every 5 years or 6 years to try something new inside profession, because like people often change the profession, change the major, and in my opinion, you could do this. Of course, it's your life, but we can choose something else inside the profession because our profession, like singing, voice teachers, there is, like so many opportunities for you. It's so wide fields, and you can choose another specialization or certification program. It's awesome, amazing. So, what knowledge I got during my rehab practice? Of course, the knowledge about voice disorders, all voice disorders. So, like which can be diagnosed, yes, for singers and for voice teachers. And also, I found amazing information about voice analysis, how we could do this inside the clinic, because I had this internship in Ukraine, yes, at the ENT Institute. And it's awesome to know, like how stroboscopy looks and how different voice disorders looks if we're talking about stroboscopy, endoscopy of larynx. It's amazing. And actually, I so happy to continue my education in this sphere too, because here in New York City we have amazing event. It calls laryngology rounds. And like every 3 or 4 months, this event, happen in different world-renowned institution here in New York. So last time I visited, it was NYU Voice Clinic. I think maybe 5 months ago, and in December I'm going to Columbia. We are going to have another laryngology round there, and it's also amazing to see, like specialists here in New York City, in rehabilitation sphere, in treatments. Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, take me with you.
Let's go
I'm
together.
ready. I am so ready. And I think so much of what you said really resonates on a lot of levels. First off, teacher burnout is real. And looking at the statistics of teachers overall, and then, of course, within the field of just how many people do burn out. And I love your recommendation that instead of having to go outside, just dig deeper or find a little niche within the field. And I certainly reflects, I think, my journey in a way in that I spend most of my time teaching teachers now and also working with those really special, the most challenging cases. And what's interesting to me is that how much I learn with the most challenging, severe vocal cases. It's like a puzzle, and that it's going to have this amazing impact on the singer, and also a tremendous impact on me because it's so rewarding when you can help someone find their voice again, when it's really the gateway of expression. Um, and I know even though I've mostly concentrated my work with young singers, I actually am seeing a trend, and I don't know if this will be a question for you and maybe others, but I feel like I am now seeing a trend of more younger students who are showing up with vocal health issues than 20 years ago. I mean, there were still children that had vocal health issues then, but I just feel like it's maybe becoming more prominent. That's not based on any research. That's just my own anecdotal experience, but I'm curious. And maybe that's a good segue into talking and sharing with us about some of the video footage that you have
Yeah.
of what some of these extreme cases can look like and
Yes.
how you work with that.
Awesome, awesome. And I totally agree with you that currently we have more knowledge, if we're talking about voice, about more scientific knowledge, and probably that's why we are more, clear about voice, and we analyze voice better. Uh, Also, that's why probably we can see more cases right now if we're talking about voice disorders. And about my cases, I have many, many cases, since my um, internship at the uh, ENT Institute. And I'm going to show you, in my opinion, the most severe one, because currently we are talking about spasmodic dysphonia, and it's a very, very, um, like I can't say bad, but it's very heavy voice disorder, especially for voice teachers and singers, professional singers. It's neurological disorder that can affect your voice, your speech, and sometimes it's very hard and sometimes almost not possible to help these people to change something because they every time have this voice spasm when they talk, when they sing. And I'm going to show you a professional singer. She was a last year student in contemporary commercial music. Yeah. And like she had her final exams, like in a 4 months, and she came to our voice clinic for help because her voice was horrible, and her voice teacher at the university, she said, why, oh my gosh, so why you doing this? You should do this exercise better, like, and she didn't realize that her student has had a voice disorder at that time.
Oh,
And
wow.
she came to us, her name is Katya. She came to us, and like spasmodic dysphonia, like when we analyze that it's spasmodic dysphonia, sometimes you can't be inside profession with this voice disorder, unfortunately. But we did a great job together with laryngologist. Uh, Katya had 3 months rehab program, and I'm going to show you our results.
Can't wait to see it.
So this is Katya before. Here I ask her to show me a very easy
And Sasha,
exercise, sitting
and
exercise.
yeah. And Sasha, so she was a singer, so presumably she didn't have issues before,
Professionals.
and then
Yes,
something happened and this became a
yes,
condition.
yes, because it's neurologic voice disorder, like in her uh, life, it was a big stress. Unfortunately, yes. And
Okay.
after this big stress, she got immediately this voice disorder. And I'm going to show you her voice before treatment and rehabilitation. Let's look.
Let's roll it. Awesome.
Ой, какая это мелодия?
Га-га-га-га-га-га.
Га-га-га-га-га-га.
Не-не-не-не-не-не.
Не-не-не-не-не-не.
Га-га-га.
Га-га-га.
It's a very popular twang exercise. We call it an Estill twang. And it was after rehab, after 3 months of treatments and rehabilitation.
Strong in my bed with his fingers, singing my life with his words, killing me softly with his song, killing me softly with his song, telling my whole life with his words, killing me softly with his song.
Quite a big difference.
Oh, that's tremendous. I mean, you gave her voice back. That's amazing. Um, Give us some insights into what the work in between the before and after looked like. How do
Mhm,
you go about rehabbing a voice?
mhm. So do you mean the work before my experience in rehabilitation and after I got this
Sorry.
experience?
So
Uh-huh.
seeing her sing
Ah,
was the after, and then the before, we were seeing that
okay.
she was doing those exercises and having so much difficulty. So what happened in between that first clip and the last clip
Okay.
where what's a little insight into the magic? Of course, I know years of knowledge and experience go into it, but give us an idea of how you help a voice like that.
Yes. So she had this spasm every time, like when she was singing or speaking. Unfortunately, especially she had this spasm when she used chest voice or thick body cover. We call it thick and Estill voice. Thick, true vocal folds, yeah. And like after treatment and rehab process, she, like she got her clear voice um, without spasm. She got her powerful singing. She had very successful final exams in her university, so she graduated from the university. And with this voice disorder, unfortunately, it was not possible to graduate for her from this university because in Ukraine, you can't be professional singer and voice teacher with spasmodic dysphonia, unfortunately, if you have this diagnosis from the doctor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Even though she overcame it.
When she overcame, yes.
Yes.
But with this spasm, like usually it's not possible for you to have successful final exams, and without these final exams, you cannot have your diploma, your
That's,
degree, unfortunately.
yeah, yeah. Um, so it sounds like you perhaps, figured out where is this issue presenting itself the most,
Yeah.
and then starting, I'm guessing, maybe with thinner folds and head voice, working on developing so that it's a gradual experience to then get to the most challenging. Is that a fair
You are
game
very
plan?
correct because
Yeah.
usually we are starting with the easiest conditions for voice. Yeah, so for her it was a thin body cover or stiff body cover. It's like a head voice if we are talking with traditional language, yes. And then we added thicker voice with thicker true vocal folds, with tilting of thyroid cartilage, which we have in Estill Voice, yeah. So yeah, we did a great job, and we got a new attractor state for her, and new habits, and new good habits, not bad habits, in singing, yeah, and in speaking too, because uh, usually when we have some great success in singing, our speaking voice also become better.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same mechanism instrument at work, and it's so inspiring to see that clip and the success story. So thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you.
It's a special look into this world, which I think a lot of us don't really see that vocal rehabilitation side. And it's great to just know that that's an option, like you said, for people who maybe are feeling a little burnt out, but still want to make use of all of the knowledge they have and contribute further in the field
Yes,
in just a different way.
of course.
So I know another area of expertise for you that we won't have a lot of time to talk about, but I'm sure people are dying to know your perspective and your insights into is around transgender voice. Tell us a little bit about how you approach voice and what your perspective is.
Thank you for this question. I think it's very important in our days, especially in the United States. And of course, I'm a transgender woman. I do not have voice dysphoria about my voice. That's why, I do not correct my own voice. I do not make it higher or more feminine. Like when I was in Ukraine, unfortunately, I used more feminine voice because it was not safety for me to use my natural voice, unfortunately, in society. That's why when I was in Ukraine, I was speaking like that. Hello, Vielka, how are you? How are you doing today? So it was my voice in Ukraine. Here in United States, God bless you, United States, I can speak, sing, in my own way, without fear
Yeah.
that's, I will be punished by someone and etc. So, but when I was in Ukraine, I created in Kiev, in the capital of the country, the Voice studio, and it was first LGBTQ plus friendly voice studio in the country. So I had many, many, many LGBTQ plus students, especially transgender students, male, female students, and I had this big experience with them to help them, like to sound in the best way for them. And currently, we have numerous voice teachers in Ukraine who help other transgender people, and this is my students. So I'm very happy about that, and I'm very happy to still continue share my knowledge about transgender voice here in United States. I had presentation um, uh, 5 months ago here in AMDA, American Music and Dramatic Academy in New York for faculty, for students, how to work with transgender and non-binary singers. And they also broadcasted this presentation for LA campus in Los Angeles. Yes, so in my opinion, it's very important to help people who can't live with this voice, like what they have. Because if we are talking about transgender and non-binary people, sometimes, like there is only two ways for them to change the voice or to commit a suicide. That's it. That's why we need to help these people for sure. And I think currently, yeah, in nearest future, I will focus my work more on this topic because it's very important, and there is not so many transgender people in our field, unfortunately, if we're talking about voice pedagogy. Yes, and I think we can't can give the most clear perspective how to work with people who are like me and others, yeah.
That's amazing, and also really heavy and profound to hear you bring that awareness that for some people they feel like it's the stakes are so high around their
Yeah.
voice, and how, yeah, they're able to use their voice and how their voice is perceived. Um, I'm just going to throw this question out there, and maybe it's my naivete, and I'm okay with that because I'm here to learn. But I wanted to share my perspective in that, I mostly work with young kids, teens, tweens, and of course, their voices are always changing, right? Because they're growing so much in such a short amount of time. And I'm not sure at what point I adopted this philosophy, but I think I just think about voice as voice, like for everyone. In other words, I tend to not think about gender, especially I think because I do work with these treble voices where it's, on another end of the spectrum where you can't necessarily tell if it's a boy or girl or, I just kind of strip gender out of the equation and I just think of it as, oh, this is a voice. And who is this person in front of me? And what do they want to do with their voice? And that we have different ways of adding color and power and different options around how we produce the voice. And so when I think about transgender voice, having never worked with someone in that niche area, my mind just goes to the same philosophy, honestly, with the addition of course, which I think is also the same. I always want to validate whoever's in front of me that this is their journey, that this is their voice. I Is it wrong for me to think I might not change that much in how I would approach it?
It's a good question. It's a great question. And
Yeah.
there is many common things for sure if we're talking about children and other students, but all almost all transgender people, they have dysphoria. Transgender and non-binary people. Dysphoria about their body,
Mm-hmm.
their voice, their appearance, And if we're talking about voice or vocal pedagogy, the first thing we should understand and realize is this student have this dysphoria or not? And I think you, as a great professional and expert, yes, in voice, you also found many times this dysphoria with usual students, not transgender, like cisgender people. Yeah, but it's a main feature of all trans and non-binary people, yeah, this dysphoria, and there is only one way to help them. It's to help them to correct their voice or their like appearance. Yeah, so there is only one way, and we should be extremely polite with these people because it's very easy, like to like uh, to say something wrong when we talk and work with these people. Yeah, of course we have some basic things like pronouns. So you should ask pronouns for sure when you have first lesson with the new students. Because sometimes, like you can see, and you can say something wrong, and this student will not visit your second lesson for sure. It's some basic things, but then I think very important question. What do you want to change or to like correct in your voice? I think it's very important question, not only for trans non-binary students, but for all students. Because like voice teachers, they usually have their own perspective, how voice should sound, and that's it. But
Yeah.
we should ask, what
Yeah.
do you
Oh,
want?
I'm so with you. I mean, that's a whole other podcast really of like
Yes, it's
yeah,
true.
and it's definitely something I talk to my team about all the time of like this is the student's journey, it's not the teacher's journey in my practice and in my team that I have, but it's a definite conscious choice, and I so appreciate you pointing out these really pretty easy things to do that will make such a substantial difference. And I think, for me, I'm grateful and perhaps take for granted that I live in Greenwich Village, New York City, where it's become pretty standard practice that you either have your gender, your pronouns on your business card, on your Zoom, that it's part of a natural exchange so that it's, more of an invitation and safe space for everyone is how I think of it. That we want to be really inclusive. And yeah, it's such a simple and impactful thing to do. Like, why would I not do that? Yeah. And I think also, to know how profound it really kind of touches me. It makes me think about the level of compassion to really have when you know that there's this dysphoria that's really prevalent and that the stakes are so high. So to really be extra in those circumstances to make sure that you're really honoring the person's experience in front of you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very important. I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, a case of life and death that is, oof, heavy and speaks so much to the amazing work and awareness that you're bringing and that you're doing. So it's quite an achievement that you're out there doing it yourself, that you have students that are carrying on your work in Ukraine, and that this will continue to have a ripple effect. So amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you, Vielka.
Yeah. I know we are over time, perhaps running out of time. There's never enough time with you. So I'm excited to have more on the personal side. But as far as the podcast, as we kind of come to a close, I want to point out again these amazing organizations that you've both founded, that you're president of. We have some upcoming events that we'll share in a minute about, but there are a few questions that and things that we ask of all of our guests. So the first is to create a mini playlist of 5 songs, and you chose Chihiro and Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, Now That We Don't Talk by Taylor Swift, Hurricane by Eden Galan, and Sand by Saba. And maybe just give us a little feedback in terms of like, what does that little mini playlist say about you, or why do those songs speak to you?
Mhm. Thank you so much for your question. I think Billie Eilish, she's a unique artist with very unique way of singing,
Yeah.
especially when we compare her with other singers.
Yes.
She chose very, very, very unique way, and I like her art, which she has with her brother. Yeah, it's amazing. It's my favorite album, yeah, which include these 2 songs. I totally recommend you this album. And Taylor Swift, like she's so popular right now. Yeah, we can hear, see her name, like everywhere. And actually, I was, like not a big fan of Taylor Swift for many, many years, but then I visited her concert, her Eras tour. It was at the movie theater, not live. But oh my gosh, she's so different artist. So she, like singing in so many styles, and you can choose whatever you like more. That's why I have her in my own list, and I like her album 1991. I think it's my favorite album from Taylor Swift. And last 2 songs is from Eurovision Song Contest. Eurovision. It's like a Grammy in United States, but this competition originally established in Europe, I think 70 years ago, after Second World War. Yeah, and it's a beautiful event because singers from different countries, one country, one singer, like they compete with each which like together during live stream or with live singing, and it's amazing. So I have 2 songs from Eurovision in my playlist. So right now, the one from Israel, yeah, because like this Palestina-Israel conflict, so it was very difficult for Eden to compete last year during Eurovision Song Contest because of that. But she has so beautiful song. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite. And Saba from Denmark. Yeah, I love her song so much too. So powerful voice, amazing lyrics. Yes, so I recommend you to watch Eurovision Song Contest. Maybe next year. Usually it's in May. Yeah.
Thank you for the heads up. We'll definitely have to do that. And I definitely see how these amazing artists reflect the amazing artist that you are. So thank you for sharing that. We have a quick rapid round of questions. The you're just going to say whatever comes to mind. Don't overthink it. Singing is fill in the blank.
Singing is a natural act. This is from Joe Estill, our teacher.
I was going to say spoken like a true Estill Master Trainer. Yes, awesome. Teaching
Is a beautiful way of living, like of creating something beautiful. Yes.
yeah, totally agree. You're nervous walking on stage. What's the first thing you do?
I have the best tip from my mentor. She is NLP specialist in Denmark and a still mentor. So she recommended me to think and to analyze something during your performance. For example, to think about retraction of false vocal folds, or for example, to analyze what do you hear, for example, like bass guitarist, the melody of bass guitarist, or the piano melody, to analyze something during your performance. This is a very helpful way to overcome stage fear for sure.
Great tip. Thank you.
Yes.
When you're home alone, what piece do you love to perform when no one's listening?
Uh, Dream a little dream of me.
Oh, I love
I
it.
love this song.
I love it. What's an example of something ordinary you find extraordinary that you're grateful for?
Hmm. We are creating our life for sure with our acts every day, every hour, and I think that.
Oh, I love it. That's so beautiful. We're celebrating you. The sky's the limit. How do you want to celebrate?
We are so, would you be so kind to repeat the last one? We are.
How, if we want to, I want to
Uh-huh.
do a celebration with you. We're going to
Okay,
celebrate you,
okay,
and
okay.
this, we can do whatever you want. How do you want to celebrate?
I think we should go to the Broadway to see a new show.
Yes.
Yes. Or to see, like our favorite shows. For example, I visited, I think, Chicago probably 7 times or 8 times right now. So,
Wow. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. Oh my gosh, Sasha, I'm so grateful for you to come be on the show, take your time out of your busy schedule to
um,
be with us and share your insights. We will be sure to leave all of your information in the show notes, how to get in contact with you. And I know that you have a couple of upcoming events that you might want to just share with our listeners. Um, yeah, do you want to?
yeah, we are going to have a beautiful conference. It will be our ninth annual conference of DIVA and ATS. And we are doing this conference together with NETS. So it will be also a conference of our NETS International chapter in Eastern Europe, Central Asia. It will be amazing event. We are going to have a presentation from Joanne Lader. We had conversation with you during our podcast today about her, and also prominent Bob Stoloff, amazing ex-professor of Berklee College of Music, and creator of amazing books for singers. Also, Kim Steinhauer, the president of Estill Voice, she's going to present a new Voice Print Plus, a new program for voice analysis and training, and many, many other great presenters we are going to have. And this event is for free for all NETS members. So if you're a NETS
That
member,
is
member of National Association of
amazing.
Teachers of Singing, welcome, welcome. We'll be happy to have you during our online event on December 7th and 8th
Oh,
this year.
that is amazing. I literally just blocked those days out on my calendar. I definitely don't want to miss it and miss seeing you there. That sounds like it's going to be an incredible event with so many powerhouse vocal pedagogy
Yeah.
experts in the room. So, all NATS members, and if you're not a NATS member yet, that might be a reason for you to sign up right there.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
for sure, for sure.
yeah. Fantastic. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the show, and I can look forward to continuing to see your work and learn more from you.
Thank you so much, Vielka, for this beautiful experience. It was my first podcast in English. I hope I
Well
did it well.
done. You are amazing.
Thank you so
Congrats.
much.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. See you.
Thank you for joining me for this podcast. To learn more about my step by step approach to voice education, where I've consolidated 30 years of vocal study into 4 words even a 3-year-old can do, just go to www.vielka.com. That's Vielka.com. Happy singing.